Hey, one and all, welcome. Excuse me. Hey, one and all, welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So I have to share you this because with the CBC and corporate comedy, where it's just going downhill. The last few years, obviously with the Trump derangement syndrome and with vaccines and COVID and so on and so forth, it has just gone so detrimental to watch these kinds of shows. And it's sad. It's sad and embarrassing that they're producing this content, especially from a staple of the CBC network, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. One of their long-standing shows this hour has 22 minutes. It's a satirical comedy show. It's been around for many years. I used to watch clips of it, growing up, and especially in high school, because we were just starting to learn about satirical comedy, and that was kind of like an example of how to do that. Same with like the Daily Show and Stephen Colbert. And I like satire. I like, satirical dark comedies and stuff like that. But the more and more the establishment took over the process of comedy, it's actually destroyed comedy. And you're about to see it here. Plain sight and view, as the Awakened Lions Roar pointed out. What a fantastic username that is. Pointing out the latest episode of the CBC show. This hour is 22 minutes. Features a skit mocking the Freedom Convoy. I kid you not. And what great timing that they're playing this clip in this episode right around the time that we're finally getting the final results, the final testimony, and the final steps in the trial process of Tamara Leach. Isn't that kind of something that they want to keep that fresh in your mind, that we got to hate these people? We got to hate the ordinary Canadians that took part in a peaceful protest and exercising their fundamental rights and freedom of exercising the ability to protest. How we got to still keep that in people's mind? We got to still make people angry at other Canadians, but not the authoritarian government that allowed this to happen. That allowed to lock up uh, innocent Canadians of all walks of life partaking in this protest, and also seize their bank accounts. I bet you they're not doing any comedy skits about that. But here's here's this, and let me tell you, it's just absolutely horrifying to witness this.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure disinformation. Try your luck in a truck demonstration. Let's begin. Take a spin, traveling in a world of fabrication, and we'll see Terry Fox desecration.
Who won't take?
Okay, this is when I know it's gone completely off a cliff and hit rock bottom. This is what they call comedy at the CBC. Maybe they should have took those CEO bonuses that the government keeps handing out to them and put that towards, effective comedy writers. Oh my god, this is awful. Like, they're at the point now where they're just plainly insulting their audience. Like, who is this going to be? Who is this written for? Are people that 9 to 5, Joes and Janes that work their asses off tirelessly going to come home to put on the CBC and watch this crap, knowing that they're going to be insulted by 22 minutes? The very viewers they're trying to pick up, they're insulting them. But of course, they're going to pander to the hand that feeds them, which is the Trudeau government, the Trudeau regime. So of course they're going to pander to the fact that, oh, all those dumb Canadians. Remember when they got out in the cold and protested and exercised their fundamental rights and freedoms of Canadians? Silly goose. Oh my god. It's just so awful. So awful. And if you want to talk about desecration, I hope somewhere out there, Gene Wilder, the original Willy Wonka, is rolling his grave far enough that he is going to come out of his grave to storm into the studio and kick their asses. You want to talk about desecration? Not only are you insulting Canadians, but you're insulting the great Willy Wonka himself. You're ruining a goddamn film that people grew up and love. Like this is insulting. 22 minutes. This is insulting. And back in the heyday, when I was growing up in high school, before then, this used to be like an iconic show. This and the Rick Mercer Report, like they used to be the iconic duo. Now it's just unbearable to watch.
Take a vaccine, but takes hydroxychloroquine. Threaten politicians just by typing on a screen. The anti-vax can. The anti-vax can.
It's the play the Ottawa Citizen is calling so crazy, it has to be true.
Oompa loompa doobity dee. This is a job for the OPP. Oompa loompa doobity doo. RCMP, this job is for you.
I never thought my life could be anything but a catastrophe, but suddenly I begin to see a beautiful truck for me, 'cause I'm an emboldened bigot.
Willy Tonka. It's a world of pure imagination that will soon become a world of pure incarceration. No longer playing in downtown Ottawa.
There is no life I know to compare with pure disinformation. Living here, you'll be free if you hate CBC.
So that is the comedy of 22 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. That is how goddamn disgusting and propagandized CBC comedy has gone. And you wonder why that network's failing. Honest to God, you wonder why they have to rely so heavily on government handouts to keep the lights on. And this used to be, honest to God, as a Canadian, this used to be a watchable network. I'm not making that up. Like, it used to be at least watchable back in the day. Now it's just god awful. It's so goddamn awful. And it's right, like, they don't even hide the propaganda anymore. It's like right in front of your face. Right in front of your face. And they don't even do it well. They don't even do it well. You heard the ending song. Well, they're so stupid by getting into the misinformation, but they're evil geniuses, but that we need to incarcerate them. So what is it, CBC? Are they stupid or are they evil psychopaths that we need to lock up? What is it? They can't even keep their propaganda straight. Wow. Oh my God. That is so awful. That is so awful. It's embarrassing. This is what corporatization and the government interfering into art form does. Like, this is an insult to comedy. This is such an insult to goddamn comedy that the fact that they could still call this a comedic show and air this on television to obviously people, this is obviously for people that already think the Freedom Convoy was so stupid. Oh, there's a bunch of truckers, rednecks. Ugh. Because it's not going to the average worker. It's not going to the average Canadian, because the average Canadian either knew that the CBC was full of shit covering the Freedom Convoy and they know better, or they supported the convoy because they also got infuriated with the mandates, the lockdowns, losing their business, locking people up, censoring people that they don't comply to big pharmaceuticals. Holy crap, that is just awful. And, of course, this is classic. This is like government propaganda. It's amazing that, we spend all this time laughing about like North Korea or the days of the Soviet Union. Like, oh my God, can you imagine like state media? Like just 24 hours a day propagandization of the government and just pouring that out. Well, guess what? This is our version. The only difference is we have options. We have options on what propaganda you want to listen to. Do you want to listen to CBC? Do you want to listen to CTV? Do you want to listen to global news? You have the option of what color and what colors and what graphics and studios are going to propagandize you. Because in the end, they're all going to deliver the same message. Wow. Oh my God. That is horrible. And there's more to this. Sadly, there's more to this. So this guy, Ryan Gertson, I hope I pronounced that correctly, pointed this out. Another video from this hour has 22 minutes. So they're going on a roll. They're going on the roll of we are so deeply trenched with the establishment. We are so deeply entrenched that we're just going to make fun of the entire convoy. We're going to make fun of ordinary Canadians, anyone that took part of it, anyone that stepped outside the line of compliance with big pharmaceuticals and the totalitarianism of the federal government. That they're just endlessly mocking Canadians. Says another video from this hour has 22 minutes. This one, they make fun of truckers. They are making fun of truckers who didn't want to accept the vaccine, calling them thumbsuckers and chickens. Again, they can't even keep the propaganda straight. That's just, it's one thing to lie to people, but you can't even keep your lies intact. You can't even keep your ducks in a row. Because again, I've heard so many different stories. Well, they're evil. Well, they're dumb, but they're also smart enough, but they're also that. Like, what is it? What are they? What are the truckers? Because once upon a time, you used to praise the truckers for being essential service, which they are. They're essential to the foundation to keep this country going. And you noted that back in 2020 at the start of the pandemic. But then all of a sudden, because they weren't compliant enough with their horrendous mandates, even though the truckers were vaccinated, they were one of the highest vaccinated occupations in the country. Look it up. It's factual. They still beat down these people. Making fun of one choice's bodily autonomy is reason 576 to defund the CBC. And here it is, folks.
Stopped and hesitated when they said get vaccinated. I ain't scared to buy the farm, I'm just afraid of a boo-boo on my arm. I'm a big mean trucker, here's my ass, you better pucker. I'm a real thumb sucker, I'm a chicken, I'm a clucker. I ain't afraid of nothing, I suppose, except a Q-tip up my nose.
A message from big bad truckers afraid of needles. I mean, truckers against vaccine mandates.
It just baffles my mind that people can sit there and be like, well, the truckers are afraid of injections. Says the people who are afraid of catching a harmless variant of COVID. Like, we were all suckers. We were all afraid. You know why? Because they never told us anything. And we were allowed to be notified on what was happening with the virus. That's how they kept us in control. At least the truckers had the audacity to make the decision based on themselves, which is exactly what medical science should be doing, should be allowing people. It should come between you and your doctor. You are the patient. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to make your own choices. It's your body, your choice. What happened in those days? You notice how they're not saying they're not pro-choice anymore? Now it's pro-abortion. And God knows that, you know, when you say you're pro-abortion, that's just, you're just awful, because nobody's pro-abortion. Nobody's pro-abortion. They're pro-choice. They want to allow people to decide based on their situation, but nobody's going to be pro-abortion. That's like openly saying, "Hey, I'm just pro-murder." Like, that's just awful to say that out loud. And the fact that this is a comedy show, it just blows me away. And again, this is the CBC. This is how they're getting their pledges from the government. Here again, another clip here. Another goddamn clip. This is another disgusting clip from CBC's 22 Minutes. This one, so we saw chicken, we saw the Willy Wonka parody. Now here they are saying that they're a bunch of Nazis, which I thought people were like afraid of Nazis because they're evil and smart. I thought that was the whole thing. But in the other one, you said they're dumb chickens. Again, they have no continuity when it comes to their propaganda. That's how I know this is whole bullshit. They don't have a stance to be on. Listen to this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming out to show Trudeau that he can arrest whoever he wants. New leaders will rise and we will take our country back. Now, the fake news seems to think that our movement is fizzling out. They think we lack the unity.
Did we do a freedom?
I'm sorry, do you have a microphone?
Yeah, Trevor Crunch, truck enthusiast. Did we do it? A freedom?
Well, you can't really do a freedom, but we are certainly working towards some.
Dang, I thought we did one.
We must show Ottawa and the nation that we cannot be shaken from our goal, that we are laser focused.
Excuse me? Which one is the drinking can?
Are those jerry cans?
Yeah, which one is the drinking one? The red one or the yellow one?
Do not drink from those cans.
I'm just gonna try them both.
Have you seen Longmire?
No, I don't think I've seen Longmire.
Come on, man. There are like 6 seasons. You haven't even seen one Longmire?
Oh, no, that's what I have.
You know, I can't even watch any more of this. This is just like to know that once upon a time, and Justin Trudeau made this publicly when the start of the lockdown, start of the pandemic, when he was announcing that thank you message to essential workers for being there for us, he was personally thanking truckers. And this is now the thank you that Justin Trudeau, the CBC, the entire mainstream media, and the establishment is doing to these people. The people that they said were such grateful workers. They keep this nation flowing. This is the thank you that they get. Getting mocked right in their face and told how stupid, how psychotic, how evil, how dumb they are, how chicken they are. And for what? Defending a person's ability to decide for themselves. Holy crap. How dare they? How dare they exercise the ability to assemble? How dare they exercise the right to unify all Canadians? This is a unity event, and that's why they're terrified of the Freedom Convoy. That's why they were so terrified. Because it would be one thing if it was just the truckers. It'd be one thing if it was just the anti-Trudeau crowd. But you know who was there? There was gay people. There was black and brown people. There were religious people. There was Native people. There was Aboriginals there. All partaking in this because they all came together to know that how horrific this is for everybody, regardless of who you are. That these mandates, these authoritarian measures brought to you by a fascist tyranny of the corporations aligning themselves with the government was going to do damage to the society. And it got so much unity that people around the world were taking note of this. People around the world were congratulating us. And they also copied similar movements. But this is the thanks we get. This is the hard work and dedication that truckers, essential workers go through. This is the thanks they get from 22 Minutes. To even here's let me show it here. So even Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, one of the top leading doctors in North America, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, commented on this saying, seriously, why does the CBC hate the Canadian working class so much? Are they no pompous political leaders to mock in Canada? Like I said, the CBC is not going to munch on the hand that feeds them. And considering they're getting corporate subsidies from the government, that's going right to the pockets of their CEOs and not to working class people. Yes, obviously they don't respect the working class. I wouldn't expect anything different from their network at this point. I wouldn't expect anything different. And they keep getting money to do this kind of crap. And that's why this network is horribly losing ratings. This is why there's such a low approval for mainstream media, even here in Canada. I know the US is bad, but here in Canada, the rating, the amount of viewers that pay attention to mainstream media is going downhill fast. And it's because of this. So I also want to add to this, since we're talking about this hour is 22 minutes, here's an iconic voice. And I wonder if 22 minutes is going to also mock her, because now she's one of them. Kathy Jones. Kathy Jones is an alumni from 22 Minutes. She's been a veteran of that show for many, many years. She's a comic actress. And she got kicked out. She got kicked out of the club. So from National Citizens Inquiry, it says Kathy Jones, famously known for her role on CBC's 22 Minutes, is a Canadian actress who prematurely retired from her career due to Canada's COVID-19 mandates. And here's what she says about this, about how the CBC forced her into retirement. This wasn't her choice. This wasn't her, giving up and making a soul-searching decision to, quit the show. This was her being thrown under the bus. So listen to this.
Hi, I'm Kathy Jones. In early 2021, I prematurely retired from my job on This Hour is 22 Minutes after 28 years due to work protocols and government mandates because of the COVID-19 pandemic. As difficult as it was for me to handle the protocols, which I found completely insane, many people didn't have the choice to walk away. They were in the middle of a 5, 10, 15, 25-year career and had a mortgage to pay, children to feed, children in school, and they didn't feel like they had a choice. And many of the choices they were forced to make had disastrous results.
So I wonder if the writers for 22 Minutes thought of all this when they were writing these horrible goddamn skits. I wonder if they really thought hard about what they're writing. And are they so they've obviously mocked truckers. Are they also going to mock the hundreds of and thousands of nurses that were fired from each different province because they wouldn't comply with the pharmaceutical injection? Are you going to mock them? Are you going to mock the mom and pop stores that have been closing down, 70% of them in Toronto alone? Are you going to mock those people? Hey, I guess you shouldn't have a business then if you weren't going to comply to a big pharmaceutical cartel. I dare them. I dare them. Because I know for a fact they wouldn't be thinking about this. They wouldn't be thinking about this because then they have to think outside the box. Then they would have to get outside the propagandized sphere that they trapped themselves in and realize what reality they are imposing onto people. So I'm curious now. Is now 22 Minutes going to mock her, a veteran, one of your colleagues? I'm serious. Are you going to mock her now? Because she openly stated that she left because of horrendous mandates. Are you going to call her a chicken? Are you going to call her a coward? You going to say that to your former colleague? Anyway, here's
The fact that people's stories are not being listened to or told as they typically would, or even believed, adds an extra layer of stress. We lost our voice. We were censored. We were canceled. And what people had to say about their experience fell on deaf ears. That's why the National Citizens Inquiry is so important. Make sure you take the time to hear what Canadians have endured over the last 3 years. The National Citizens Inquiry, NCI, a cross-country initiative, wants to give those who were harmed or damaged by the government's response to the pandemic a voice, and a safe space to share their experience.
So obviously, she has now been a huge part of the NCI, the National Census Inquiry, which we've done videos beforehand on their work and uncovering all the, a lot of it with the censorship, but also how these pharmaceuticals like Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca pretty much stormed into this country and decimated on our industry, our abilities to create vaccines and go after that. And they've done incredible work. Go check out the videos. Follow them on Twitter. It's really eye-opening, the amount that they put together and the amount of stories you hear from people that you don't get to hear from. And one of the things that we covered on this channel here, which was so heartbreaking, was the single mother in Bradford, Bradford, Ontario, who was a young, healthy, vibrant woman, single mother in this small town in Ontario. She was working as a school teacher or educational assistant, and she did everything that she could. She followed into line, nothing harmful. She was healthy as could be. And then she got swooped into the mandates because of the school board forcing it on her. And she thought she was doing a good thing. She didn't know any better because they weren't telling her anything better. And now she's a paraplegic. Now she's in a wheelchair. A healthy woman, healthy single mother, is now forced into a wheelchair because of the effects of the mandates. Because they told her to get this injection, even though she had no idea. And when they told her, when she told doctors about this, the doctors turned around and laughed at her and said, "Oh, it's just all in your head." It's just diabolical. All this is diabolical. And the fact that 22 minutes, a satirical comedy show has the audacity to make fun of you, but not the people that were behind the scenes actually in control of all this chaos that has done absolute damage to this country. It's just so heartbreaking. It's so friggin' heartbreaking. And let's not forget the most famous words when people say, "Oh, well, we had freedom when the pandemic happened." I don't know what those truckers are complaining about. We had freedom. You just had to do the right thing. Let's not forget the most famous words from Justin Trudeau at the height of the pandemic. This is when really he became that authoritarian fascist figure that he's now propelled himself to be. Remember when he said out loud, "But don't think you can get on a plane or a train and put vaccinated people at risk." That's how diabolical this was. Because there's nothing more sinister than telling people you have freedom, but you can't do this, that, and the other until you comply with us. That is the most sinister thing you can do. The most sinister thing you can do. And that came from Justin Pretty Hair Trudeau. And even the Epoch Times was calling this out, saying no evidence COVID-19 vaccine stop transmission when authorized, confirms liberal governments. So, ta-da! You should be mocking these assholes. You should be writing and doing skits for and saying how stupid and dumbfounded and compliant these people. You should be going after the people who knew better, but got caught up in the corruption, got a huge setback for this, and allowed this chaos to go on to the point that truckers had to sound the alarm. But of course, 22 minutes is never, ever going to do that. And that's why that network is terrible. And why most people get their comedy from TikTok anyway. They get their comedy from YouTube. They get their comedy from places like Rumble. And ironically, Now, the Canadian government wants to attack those social media companies. And they're saying they're doing it in the benefit of, we got to protect Canadian media. We got to protect the journalists in Canada. We got to do everything we can to help these people because there's such dire needs right now. That's all you got to silence out everybody else. Even though it's actually doing worse for journalism as a whole. It's doing worse. And the only reason that they're doing it is because they're losing control of the narrative. And when they lose control of the narrative, they have to start silencing people. And when they can't silence people, well, as they say in the, good old mafia films, he's going to be sleeping with the fishes. But I can tell you that these are all words, and for the good wholesome heart of YouTube, that it slowers transmission, and they're very safe and effective. Consult a doctor. That's all I could say.